how to leverage LinkedIn for your advantage. Namely, how to leverage LinkedIn so that you can get compensated for your work as a Salesforce professional. So what I'm going to do is talk about some of the tips that or some of the notes that I've written down about like how I've leveraged LinkedIn to get compensated well for the work I'm doing. So sometimes what this will lead to are corp to corp positions that pay more than a W-2 Salesforce position working 6 months contracts to a year-long contracts. And paying upwards of around like $150 to $200 an hour, depending on what the position is, how long it is, and the type of work you'd be doing. So what I'm going to do is just talk about some of these tips or things that I've written down that have helped me kind of leverage LinkedIn to my advantage. The first thing that it's more of a mindset thing, but what I wrote down was don't be a victim, even if you are one. And what I mean by this is oftentimes on LinkedIn, you will see sappy posts about being laid off or not being able to find a Salesforce job. And while I do really sympathize with the people that are going through this, posting it in that kind of woe is me, I'm a victim, I do feel for the people that are going through this, but what it does for recruiters is it sends this message. It's like this weird thing where these recruiters are not going to reach out to these people because they're going to think, even if it's not true, these recruiters are going to think, oh, I don't want to reach out to this person because like they are going to probably cause a problem for my client. They might be sappy and mope around on the job. And even if they're good, like I don't know if I want to put them in front of the customer. So that's really unfortunate. And that's the reason like why I'm saying this is because like I've spoken with recruiters and somehow we've gotten on this topic. And when this topic does come up, it's like, again, on a human level, we all feel for the people that are going through this, but it doesn't let the recruiter know that they're going to be good at their position. And if they do see a trend in like their recent content that, they are posting about this all the time and not posting about something else like, hey, this is what I learned like in my last position or things like that, then they're definitely not going to reach out to you and it will only exacerbate the problem. So again, like don't be a victim or don't act like a victim, even if you are one. Right? People are going to reach out to you if you're posting content around the skill set that you know and that you're good with. That one might be controversial, but it worked for me, and so that's why I wrote down. The second one, and this one will compound if you do it. This benefit will compound if you do it often, and it's respond to every LinkedIn DM. Especially if they're from staffing agencies or recruiters, right? So if your name of the game is to find a paid position, respond to every LinkedIn DM. Even if you see it like it looks like it could be a scammer, respond. Because what it does is, in my opinion, I think it tells LinkedIn that you're active, and that sort of active status that LinkedIn will set on your profile will let other recruiters know that you're active. And you will start to notice other messages coinciding. Like you will start to see an uptick in the number of LinkedIn messages that you receive. So just respond to every DM. And when you respond to every LinkedIn DM from recruiters or staffing agencies, they're going to tell you about the position. It's going to be a very generic message. And one thing that's worked for me is I'll just straight up ask, what's the compensation range for this position? And recruiters will do one of two things. They will either say it depends on experience. And if they ask you that, you can just ask the question again, what's the compensation range? And they'll tell you, right? And then you can say, and if they lowball you, you can what you can do is you can call it out and be like, hey, that's just way too low. And if it's way too low and you think you can get them up to your range, then you can say, hey, it's way too low. It's on the lower side, open to discussing what the range should look like. You get them on the call and you have a conversation, and they figure out you're a real human being and not a scammer. And then you're off to the races, right? Like then you have an opportunity to land a Salesforce position. But if they're just way off base, then what I'd like to do is just say like, hey, that's just way too low. I don't think we'll ever be able to match or be able to come close to like what I'm able to, like the value that I should be able to be compensated for. Wish you best of luck in your search. And then what they'll do is they'll come back and say, hey, what are your expectations? And it's really up to you. Like if you think you can have a relationship with this recruiter, then what you can do is say like, hey, I think we should just get on a phone call and just talk, because like what I think the client is doing is I think they're putting you in a precarious position to find a unicorn at the rate that you're looking for. And recruiters will be pretty grateful for this information, because they don't know the Salesforce industry like you do, right? You're the one that knows the Salesforce industry. You're the one that knows what the ranges should be. All the recruiters are doing is they're taking a range and they're just trying to find somebody that hits that. And if you know your skill set and if you know that you should command a higher range, it's a great education to let the recruiters know that they're just way off base, that the client is way off base. And guess what? Eventually, it might not happen overnight, but like in 3 months or 6 months, when they come back and say, hey, like we're able to get an increase, are you still interested? Then you're coming from you're going to be the first person that they come to, because you help them out and you've demonstrated yourself as somebody that's knowledgeable about the space. So that's why I like responding to every DM, and I like, responding to recruiters. And even if there's a low ball, like I'll be honest with them and still try to have a conversation with them. I won't get upset at them, right? Because don't come from a position of malice. Just assume that like that's what the client gave them and they're trying to find somebody for that rate. And it's up to you to hold firm and say that that's frankly just not the range that you're looking for. In that first LinkedIn DM, sometimes a recruiter will have their phone number at the bottom of the message, and it'll be like a pre-canned message that they're sending out through some sort of like software. But they'll have their phone number at the bottom. Call them, right? Give them a call. 50% of the time they'll pick up. 50% of the time they won't pick up. If they don't pick up, leave your name and number. Refer to the fact that they left you a voice message, a LinkedIn message, and you're calling in response to the position. More often than not, they'll call you back to set up like 15 to 20 minutes to talk. And you'll stand out from all the other people that they're reaching out to, right? Even if you're not interested, right? Like the name of the game shouldn't, like if you're in a position where you don't need a Salesforce position, doing this really expands your network. And when you do potentially fall in hard times, you can leverage this to your advantage and reach out to them because of all the touch points that you've had with all these different recruiters over the years. That sounded like a little bit of a ramble, but we're going to move on. And the last thing that I think is helpful is to just post some content that's relevant to the industry that you're in. So let's say you're a Salesforce administrator for like a wealth management company. You can post about some of the challenges that wealth management companies have been facing with Salesforce and how you've solved for it, right? And this goes back to the first point that I mentioned, which is to not act like a victim, even if you are one. Because if you're a recruiter and you come across somebody's LinkedIn profile, all things being equal with their skill set, and you see one profile has information saying, I got laid off from my last job. Like it really hurts. Like, I'm so sorry that it happened to me. Woe is me, woe is me. And then you see somebody's profile that's in the same position, but they're posting about lessons that they learned from the wealth management company, that they've seen, issues that they've solved for in the past, and have a point of view on how to help solve it for other wealth management companies. Who do you think the recruiter is going to reach out to? They're going to reach out to the second person. So this goes to say having some sort of content about the relevant industries that you've been in the past would go a long way. You don't have to start saying you're going to post like every single day or, once a week or anything like that, but just have something so that when the person goes to your profile and they skim it for 30 seconds, they'll see some posts that you've had in the past. And to them, all they really want to see is this a real person, right? Do they have a profile? Do they have some sort of likes or comments, or do they have some sort of posts about the industry that they've been in? They do? Cool. we'll give them a call. And these are the things that, so I'm just going to stop there. Like, these are the 4 or 5 things that stood out to me. These are the 4 or 5 things that stood out to me as things that, as actions that I've taken to make LinkedIn really work for me as a Salesforce professional.